Your brain catches a yawn like a virus, and it's doing it on purpose. You know the feeling. Someone near you yawns, and within seconds, your jaw does the same thing. You didn't choose it. And here's what's strange. Scientists have studied this for decades, and the answer turns out to be one of the most revealing windows into how your brain builds social connection. The gap between seeing someone yawn and doing it yourself is typically 3 to 5 seconds, and it doesn't even require seeing. Reading the word yawn right now, there's a decent chance your body is already responding. Hearing a yawn works, thinking about yawning works. The trigger is almost absurdly easy to trip. The obvious answer, that you're tired and their yawn reminds you, doesn't hold up. Studies show contagious yawning happens regardless of how rested you are. It happens more in the morning, but the contagious part operates independently. It's not about sleep, it's about something else entirely. The first real clue came from an unexpected place. In the 1990s, neuroscientists in Parma, Italy, were studying macaque monkeys, recording from neurons in the premotor cortex. One day, a researcher reached for food, and a monkey watched. And the monkey's brain did something extraordinary. The same neurons that fired when the monkey reached for food also fired when the monkey simply watched the researcher reach. The brain was simulating the observed action, as if the monkey were doing it itself. These were called mirror neurons, and they sent neuroscience into a frenzy. Contagious yawning fits this framework. When you see someone yawn, your mirror neuron system fires as if you were yawning. The simulation crosses a threshold and the yawn executes. But here's the twist. If it were just mirror neurons, everyone would catch yawns equally. And they don't. In 2010, researchers at the University of Connecticut had participants watch videos of people yawning and tracked who caught the yawn. Then they measured empathy, standard assessments for empathic concern, perspective-taking, and emotional resonance. The results were striking. People who scored higher on empathy were significantly more likely to catch yawns. People with traits associated with psychopathy, emotional coldness, reduced affective empathy, were less susceptible. One study found individuals with higher psychopathy scores showed up to 25% less contagious yawning. Now, this is statistical, not absolute. Plenty of empathic people don't catch yawns, and some cold ones do, but the correlation is real and replicated. Contagious yawning is tied to the machinery of empathy, not just the machinery of movement. And here's where it gets more interesting. Newborns yawn, they yawn in the womb, starting around 11 weeks of gestation. But that yawn is purely physiological. It's not contagious. You can yawn at an infant all day, and nothing happens. Contagious yawning doesn't emerge until around age 4 or 5. And that timing is not a coincidence. Age 4 is exactly when children develop theory of mind, the understanding that other people have minds and perspectives different from your own. Before that, yawns aren't contagious. The brain has to develop a representation of other minds before it can catch a yawn. The contagion requires social cognition as a prerequisite. It's not a simple reflex arc, stimulus in, yawn out. It's a computation that runs on top of your ability to model someone else's internal state. Brain imaging backs this up. fMRI studies of contagious yawning show activation in regions that have nothing to do with jaw movement and everything to do with social processing. The precuneus, the posterior cingulate cortex, the superior temporal sulcus. These are hubs for self-awareness, social attention, and mentalizing. The precuneus is one of the most metabolically active regions of the brain, even at rest. It's involved in self-referential processing, thinking about yourself, your position in a social world. When you catch a yawn, your precuneus lights up. Your brain is placing itself in relation to the person who yawned. So the picture forms. Contagious yawning isn't about tiredness. It's not simple mimicry. It's a social cognitive event requiring empathy, theory of mind, and a brain network dedicated to understanding where you end and someone else begins. But there's still the question of function. What is it for? Part of the answer lies in what yawning does physically. Yawning is ancient, at least 200 million years old, shared by virtually all vertebrates. Fish yawn, reptiles yawn, birds yawn. And the physiological function appears to be thermoregulation, cooling the brain. Starting in 2010, studies showed that yawning cools the brain. The deep inhalation brings in cooler ambient air. The stretching of jaw muscles increases blood flow to the skull, brain temperature drops, reaction times improve, alertness increases. Yawning is a radiator flush for your head. But that's the physiological function of yawning. The contagion, the social spreading, serves a different purpose. And to understand it, you have to look at animals that live in groups, where survival depends on coordinated vigilance. In a herd or pack, if one animal becomes alert, the others need to become alert too, quickly. A contagious signal that spreads alertness through the group would be enormously adaptive, and that's exactly what yawning does. One animal yawns, the physiological cooling and arousal spreads via contagion. Everyone's brain temperature drops, everyone's alertness rises. The group synchronizes its attention state. It's a collective vigilance mechanism, a way to make sure the whole herd is sharp, not just the individual who first noticed something. The evidence is strongest in our closest relatives. Chimpanzees catch yawns from each other, and contagion is stronger between socially close individuals. Bonobos, which are more socially tolerant than chimps, show even higher rates of contagious yawning. And then there are dogs. Dogs catch yawns from humans, first documented in 2008. But there's a condition. Dogs are far more likely to catch a yawn from a familiar human than from a stranger. The mechanism is tuned to social bonds. This bond tuning is the most consistent finding across all studies. A 2021 meta-analysis found that social relationship strength is the single best predictor of whether a yawn will spread. Kin and close friends trigger contagion at nearly double the rate of strangers, which means contagious yawning is, in effect, a readout of social proximity. Your brain is constantly mapping who matters to you, who is inside your circle, whose internal state is worth simulating. When one of those people yawns, your brain mirrors them. This is the social brain caught in the act. Most of the time, the social computations happening beneath your awareness are invisible. You don't feel your precuneus calibrating social distance. But when you catch a yawn, the computation leaks to the surface. It becomes visible, measurable, physical. It's one of the only moments where you can directly observe your brain running social software. The yawn is the output of a program constantly running in the background, tracking bonds, simulating minds, synchronizing states. You just don't usually get to see it work. There's a beautiful irony here. We think of yawning as disengagement, boredom, fatigue, checking out. But the contagious yawn is the opposite. It's a sign that your brain is deeply engaged with the person next to you, running their simulation, syncing to their state. So the next time someone yawns near you and you feel your jaw tighten, don't think of it as a nuisance. Think of it as your brain demonstrating something it does brilliantly and quietly every day. Building a map of your social world, one involuntary breath at a time. Your brain catches a yawn because, underneath everything, it is built to catch other people, to resonate with them, to synchronize with them. The contagion isn't a bug. It's a feature, one of the oldest and most fundamental features of being a social animal. And that's the real answer. Not because you're tired, not because of a simple reflex, but because your brain is a social machine, and a yawn is one of the few signals that lets you watch that machine working, in real time, between you and the person beside you. If you yawned while watching this, your social brain is working perfectly. Subscribe for more windows into the machinery of you.